Hey, here we are. It's awkward because I had to explain to Kelsey that we can't hear the intro
right
as it plays. So like everybody else, and I think the intro is very, very loud. So for everybody else, they heard a very loud intro, and for us, it was just silent. And you just kind of sit there waiting for me to say something, and then you know it's on. But welcome, Sam Roberts now. And I've been doing this, just whenever.
Right.
And today was the first time I started to get worried that like people are just going to be like, okay, enough. Because I just did one like yesterday.
Oh, really?
And so it's like 2 a weekend does feel like a lot.
Right.
Plus, since we're live on a Sunday, and you should subscribe along on the Not Sam YouTube page. If you're watching this taped, you can subscribe to the Not Sam YouTube page, and then you can chat along in the live chat, and I can look at that or whatever. Just get notified every time we go live. But,
yes.
So I'm looking at Twitter, and I'm like, okay, we're going live later this afternoon. And they're like, football's on. What are you doing? And I was like, oh, that's my feminine ways about me.
You and I both were like, oh yeah, there's that. I don't even think about it.
Look, the thing about football is you can watch on mute.
Hey.
Right?
That's true.
Like this is on a computer, and you can put football on a television, and it doesn't affect anything. So don't worry about that. Or, this thing lasts forever. This Sam Roberts Now, like it goes on the YouTube page after.
Oh yeah, it's
so
fine.
It's everything's fine.
People can find it.
But Kelsey Cook, welcome to the Not Sam Studios.
Thank you. It's so fun to be back one-on-one with you.
I know. And
the Sam Roberts Show days.
I was happy to have you back because that was part of it, right? Like as much as I love doing the morning show,
yeah, same.
There were people who still also enjoyed the kind of weirdness and almost solitude, right? Like I felt like the night show was like this joined sort of solid, like all the lonely people could get together and be like, we're family here. Like it was just the island of misfit toys.
Absolutely.
So I was like, what if I could recreate the island of misfit toys?
Here we are.
If I just build the Not Sam Studios, we could rebuild the island of misfit toys.
And here we are.
Yeah, that's what this is. That's what the whole point of the thing is. So
literally misfit toys
surrounding
us.
Well, yeah, that's what I figured. I build an island of misfit toys surrounded by actual toys.
Deranged people.
yeah. And deranged people, yeah. So welcome. It was really funny when you got here because I guess I wasn't aware of all your allergies. The dog, Lila, unfortunately, she made an appearance on the show we did with Jim, and people liked that. Like they like the idea of a dog just wandering on the set, which I do too.
I heard that the dog hated Chip.
Hated. Like you've never seen anything like it. Like Jim is good with animals, and Jim would be talking to the dog, and the dog would be cool, like, right.
Right.
And then Jim just turns on the Chip voice, and the dog just took a step back and did that angry dog eyes thing and started barking at him and leaving. Like, I don't want anything to do with this. I've been in the car, like where Jim and I are in the driver's seat and the passenger seat, and the dog's in the back seat, and the dog's fine. And then Jim just leans back and starts doing the Chip voice. The dog freaks.
Oh my God.
Out. Which makes me think I got a good dog.
Dude, yeah.
I mean, those are strong instincts.
That dog is amazing that it can notice that quick of a change and be like, oh, this person is a creep.
But so the dog
Chip.
Oh. Yeah, of all people.
Oh, Chip.
So the dog is there. She's barking when Kelsey gets here, and Kelsey's like, oh, I have to tell you, like, I love dogs, but I'm deathly allergic to them. And I'm like, don't worry. This is a Labradoodle, so it's hair instead of fur.
Right.
It's hypoallergenic. Hypoallergenic.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Right.
And you're like, okay. And then Jess tries to calm her down by giving her a peanut butter treat. And you're like, also, I have to tell you, I'm deathly allergic to peanut butter. And I'm like, you know what? Is there some kind of just bubble?
I know. I'm surprised you were just like, get out. We can't do this.
When did you find out you were deathly allergic to peanut butter?
In high school, something happened. I don't know what patch I hit. I had allergies growing up, but then in high school,
what were you allergic to growing up?
Like pets and pollen and sort of basic things. But then I hit a point in high school.
So animals and going outside.
Yeah,
nothing that kids like or anything like that.
Anything joyful,
right?
That brings a smile to a child's face.
Right.
I couldn't have it. So, but then in high school, I feel like is where all the severe food allergies happened. Where then it was It was just bad, and I was getting you know how they like inject you with the things you're allergic to try and make you more immune?
Right. But you're supposed to do that when you're like not high school age, when you're like really young, right? Or no?
I mean, you can do it any age basically, but it was those years were so anxiety inducing because they're injecting you with what you're allergic to, and then they would keep you in the doctor's office for like 20 minutes afterward to make sure you didn't start to die.
Right.
And I did that for like 3 years, and then
so they just sit there. What do? They just sit there like looking at you, or is there a button if you're about to die? Yeah. Hit this button and somebody will come running back in.
You would just sit in the waiting room, and you would let them know if you started to get like an itchy throat, or if you started to feel, and God forbid.
You wouldn't even get to sit in the office, so hypothetically you have to die in in the waiting room.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
You just keel over.
It's only 20 minutes. Why can't they just leave you in the doctor's thing, either in the office or the operating room or something, whatever? No. The doctor's room where you go in and you get your shots and stuff.
Yeah.
Just leave you in there, so at least if you start convulsing, you don't have to do it in front of like a waiting room full of people. But no, they don't.
Yeah. Waiting room full of other rejects. And
yeah.
Weak immune systems.
You're just sitting there like, oh, I hope nobody in here has a cold. I hope nobody in here gives me the flu. And then somebody just starts going into anaphylactic shock, like, ah!
Just seizing. Yeah. Well, and that's another thing, too. They'd be like, you can't get the shots if you've elevated your heart rate within the last hour. You can't get the shot if you're feeling...
What do you mean elevated your heart rate?
Like if you worked out. Because they said that could trigger. So I can
go and get my pump on right before I get my allergy shot?
Oh my God, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just
Sam Roberts
get that pump on.
The pump on.
That's what I do.
Oh my Lord.
All right. So then I won't. All right. Well, just remember.
Your ankle muscles.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Quarters. Oh my God. So it was just a terrible time for a few years of feeling like I was about to die constantly. Like
oh my God. So going through that gives you the feeling of like, well, that's not just this 20 minutes in the doctor's office. That's my life.
Yeah.
Like I could die at any moment.
Well, the doctor had terrible bedside manner too, where they basically were like, okay, you need to cut all of these things out of your life. And if you even come near them, there's a chance that like your throat will close and you'll die.
And how old are you?
16.
Okay. So you can probably handle all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Easy.
Totally fully developed adult. Yeah. No, it was tough. So walking in today, it was almost like comical. The fact that you have a dog and that just gave the dog peanut butter, and the dog is coming right for me, and I'm like, no. Like, I can't. It's like an atomic bomb. Just
right.
All of this.
What would have happened?
Well, if like the dog had gotten the peanut butter on me, I think I could have probably like washed my hands quickly and it would have been okay. But like if I were to ingest it somehow,
like what if the dog like just ate peanut butter, licked your face?
That probably would have been bad. But
starts licking like the inside of your mouth.
Oh yeah, that's real bad.
For a lot of reasons. Yeah. Like, where are you tongue kissing dogs?
For a lot of reasons. But yeah, I've got my EpiPen with me, so you would probably have to medically.
Like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, you'd have to stab me in the thigh.
Have you had to do EpiPen in the past?
No, knock on wood. But
how long have you been carrying one with you?
10 years.
Oh my God. So that is, and you feel like it's just a looming thing. Like you're always
totally
aware of it.
Totally.
And like every single time you leave the house, you're like, today might be the day that I almost die and somebody needs to stab me with a pen. Yeah. So then when you tour with Norton, do you tell him like, hey, because like we're hanging out when we're not on stage, just in case, like I have an EpiPen on me, here's where it is, and you might have to...
I guess I've never told him where it is, but he's aware of my allergies, and like being, with him when it's Club Soda Kenny too. They are,
oh my God.
They are brutal in restaurants where I will order something that clearly does not have peanuts, and I'll just like make that choice to avoid anything. And Kenny will be like, she has a peanut allergy. Are there any peanuts in that? And it's like tacos. Like, no, there are not peanuts in the tacos. Like, it's totally fine. Right. But he'll make a whole big production out of it.
Make a thing out of it.
Humiliating.
Yeah. I went, it was some wedding we went to or something. We were in a hotel, and I was there with Club Soda Kenny, and it happened to be like, we were just hungry and it was late, so we both got something to eat in the hotel restaurant or whatever. Yeah. And, I'm a picky eater. But,
right. I didn't know that about you until the last time I did Jim and Sam, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize.
But not to a point where like I try to make it a thing, because I hate that.
Right.
And we go into the hotel thing, and we're looking at the menu, and he's like, is there anything you can eat? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll find something. I'll just figure something out. I'll get something. You do it.
Totally.
And the waitress comes over and she's like, well, what do you guys have? And Kenny was like, miss, excuse me, my son has a blood sugar problem.
course.
And he could faint. Do you have any chicken tenders?
Oh my god.
It doesn't
Chicken
even
tenders
make
aren't even the
sense.
thing that, yeah.
Like, what possible medical ailment? But the waitress goes like, yeah, let me check the kitchen right now.
Oh my god.
And I mean, God bless Club Soda Kenny, because I did get chicken tenders that
good
night.
man. That's a good man right
And
there.
then, do you know who Dr. Steve is?
I do, yeah.
So Dr. Steve is the medical guy
Right.
who does the medical show on our channel on Sirius XM. And he was there too. And he was like across the lobby of this hotel.
Yeah.
And you always hear about this trick, but I'd never seen it actually work. Club Soda Kenny goes, oh, thank you. And miss, our friend Steve over there, he said he'd pick up the bill. Steve! And he points to him like nodding. And Steve like turns around and gives him the thumbs up.
He gave him a thumbs up
Yes.
of all things. Not even just the wave, but it's
No.
like, no, I got it.
I couldn't believe it when he put his thumb
Wow.
up. And like there was no sort of, well, you know Kenny, like he'll just keep the joke going, but eventually he'll go, oh I'm kidding. No, we'll pay for the...
No. He commits.
No. I got chicken tenders off the menu and Dr. Steve paid for them.
God, Kenny killed it that day.
Yeah, it was...
Good for him.
It was bad. It was great, but it was really, really embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. And I'm the same way with the allergies where like, I never want to look like an inconvenience. Where people are like, oh, can you eat here? I'm like, I'll find something. Don't worry about it. I don't want to change what we're doing. So, yeah.
Right. You almost like, you don't want to tell people, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, like I got it. I've been navigating this shit. I'm fine. I'll figure it out.
But then people get annoyed anyway. Like people always get annoyed just at what I order. They're like, why don't you just have a burger? I'm like, well, I don't eat hamburgers, but don't worry about me. I'll figure something out.
Like,
I'm fine.
Don't even ask because it's gonna infuriate you.
Don't let it be anything that like, but people can't let it go.
Oh yeah, people are like,
and they're like, well, I don't feel comfortable if you're not, and I'm like, you're making it about you. It's not you being a good person.
And we could be the victims in it, but we're like, no, it's fine.
It's fine. It's totally fine. Although I don't have any actual allergies. It's just mental blocks.
It's just
from food, so it's really I don't like it. I don't like it. It doesn't. Have you tasted it? No, I know I don't like it.
Oh my god,
it's really bad. It's really bad. So, Kelsey Cook, you've been on tour for 15 years with Jim Norton at this point?
Yeah. 15 years since I was a 13-year-old.
That's great.
Plucked me right out of middle school.
That's great. And you have a podcast now?
Yeah. I had cooked for the last 4 years, which is where I would have a guest on every week. And then for the last 6 months now, I've had a new podcast called Self-Helpless.
Are you still doing Cooked?
No, I stopped. It was time. I'd done Cooked for 4 years, and it was like I was kind of transitioning into doing stand-ups, doing makeup on the side, and it's tough. I know that you get this because you do this one-on-one now, and you've been doing it one-on-one before, where it's tough to get a guest every week by yourself. Like, shit happens, things fall through, and then you're just left with no guest. But
Plus, it's not like, it's not like you're on a press tour.
Exactly.
Right? You're just like, hey, you just come over and like hang out for an hour.
And I live in LA, so it's, asking people to drive to like the valley.
Right.
And people are like, well, I don't really want to drive an hour, bitch.
Or they'll wake up that morning. Like,
Totally.
Because that's the problem, right? Like, podcasting has become almost what you do to keep up with your friends, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't really have conversations unless they're recorded. But at the same time, it's a business. Like, it's a show you're doing. But people will cancel on you as if it's like, oh, I know I said I was going to come over, but I'm kind of busy.
Totally.
And you're like, but it's not just you coming over. I have to put something on iTunes tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was having a lot of comics on usually where, comics were like some of the flakiest people on the planet. So anyway, it just got to a point where I was like, okay, I really want to do something else. And I do Self-Helpless with Taylor Tomlinson and Delaney Fisher, who are two amazing comics. I love them both so much. So we're basically, it's like three type A neurotic comics who tackle like a different self-help thing every week, and we decide if we think it works or if we think it's bullshit. So we've talked about like feng shui and Tony Robbins.
Is feng shui like the room, like how you organize your furniture?
Yeah. I have a feeling like already you are going to be the type that thinks it's total bullshit, right?
Feng shui?
Feng shui.
It's nonsense. Of course it's not. It doesn't make any sense.
Course.
It's stupid.
I love
it's
that.
so
I know you all have to be
stupid.
like, he will hate feng shui.
Yeah, no. I think feng shui is for people who do not take responsibility of their actions.
Dude, that's so funny. Oh my god. Okay, so I used to feel that way.
Yeah.
But then about 10
oh my
years
God,
ago.
I would really be getting so much more done, but the chair is in the wrong corner of the room. Oh, that's been the problem the whole time.
It's the
not
chair,
my,
it's not
my
me.
lack of motivation. And it's certainly, based on the fact that I'm blaming feng shui, it's certainly not a lack of personal responsibility by any stretch of the
my God.
imagination.
But
No,
here's-
it's the chair.
But I don't think the people that do feng shui are those type of people. I think it's people that are so proactive that we're willing to do like anything to help our lives extra.
Even if
Does
it
that make
means,
sense?
like,
we're almost like we're desperate.
The couch has to be facing the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's a big one with feng shui is that you are not supposed to have your bed up against the wall, especially if you're single and you're like looking for
What do you mean? At all, or just not like cornered?
not pushed up. Like you can have the head of the bed pushed up against the wall,
Oh,
but
okay.
like you don't want one of the sides to be it, especially if you're single and you're looking for a relationship because that's sending.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
You're sending out energy that you don't want anybody else to be coming on that side of the bed.
What if you just like think it's cozy that like you just can get up in this corner in the room, right?
You're
That's
not letting
nonsense.
No,
that's
it's
crazy.
nonsense.
That's look. My bed is not.
And
Yeah,
you're married.
And I'm married, so maybe there is something to that. Although part of that is also because my wife wanted to get on the bed, and I was like, oh, okay,
Right.
then we probably won't corner it against the wall.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's the whole.
So that's just one little part of it, but I know I sound like a witch.
Yeah.
I sound like a
This is black
full-
magic.
Full witch. But I also was like you, where I was like, this is total bullshit. I think this is the stupidest thing. My mom.
Yeah.
Do you want me to like?
What do you think of the
this
feng
area?
shui of the studio, of the Not Sam studio? Because I worked very hard on the feng shui.
It's got yeah, I can tell. No, it's got yeah, the feng shui of your million action figures.
Well, that's not technically the studio. That's over there.
This
That's
is
the
amazing.
museum.
This looks fantastic.
Feng shui?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so here's the thing. It all goes with like the front door of your house. Like that's how things are oriented.
God.
So there's these, it's called guas, Guas. And there's
Guar?
guas.
Oh.
So there's 9 areas in your home. Like
Yeah.
you break your home into basically like a tic-tac-toe board.
Okay.
And so the back left
Who
corner.
has time for all this?
It's not that, it's simple. It's easy.
This is the people who do feng shui. Like, this is why they're not getting where they want to go.
Because they're
they're
wasting
dividing
time.
their houses into tic-tac-toe boards.
Dude, it's real. It's
Okay.
crazy. I'm
All right.
telling you.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay. I'm telling you, I really truly thought it was bullshit. And then I started to just try it. I just dipped my toe and was like, okay, whatever. I have nothing to lose. Let me just see if this.
So
And I swear to God, shit changes.
your life changed.
Yeah. Also, there's just a basic thing too of like, if you're putting things up as decor for a certain area, and it's like maybe you put up a goals poster.
Like fake microphones and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Tommy Wiseau footballs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fucking know what that's bringing to your life, but you know, you do you.
Good vibes.
Yeah, good
Just
vibe.
living my
It
best
makes
life.
You happy.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
If you're seeing something every day, it's gonna be reminding you that you are trying to work toward that. More so than if you weren't seeing it. So
Like
there's
what-
just like a basic thing in that.
What if I have a acrylic on velvet painting of The Undertaker?
Oh my God.
It's literally right there. What is that? What is that?
God,
What does that
is
bring to
that?
my life? That's The Rock and
I
The
don't
Undertaker.
know. It's good that you're married because
Yeah.
if you weren't and it was this, I'd be like this is bringing
I
some
see.
weird vibes.
You'd be like, this person is not concentrating at all on like the
Yeah.
outside bubble. Like this is
Right.
he's just created a bubble to live in where it's
Right.
just him and his stupid hobbies,
right.
and he's not really being social whatsoever.
But you know, it's cool to see this because
Yeah.
so many people are like all into like the minimalist, like have nothing, just you are. So there's like a creativity gua where you're supposed to tap into like things that make you happy and like childlike things, and you have like all of your action figures and
I have a
things
lot
that-
of those guas.
Like, does that, when you look at that, does that make you happy?
So happy.
See, that's
Yeah.
great. That's good.
Yeah.
Those are good things to have. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
so you
you're-
believe in feng shui now?
totally.
Oh my god.
And I've already converted Taylor because she's started into the episode like this, just like you. Like, this is nonsense.
But you think just the studio area, just this corner that's visible to the audience at home, like you think there is good feng shui here or bad feng shui?
No, I think it's great.
Great.
Feels
Okay.
good. Also, red is a big power color. Like, it's supposed to
Oh, you don't
activate-
say.
Oh my God, please do not flex right now. Red.
Power, huh?
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
regret saying that.
Red is a power color?
Red's a power color. Yeah, it's supposed to like activate things.
I heard it makes you hungry. That's why McDonald's did it.
Yeah. See, there's all these sort of things that people do that are like kind of mind games and stuff.
Was that your favorite? Was that your most educational episode of the Self-Helpless podcast when you found out about feng shui being real?
Yeah, I mean, that was one that I felt like I had a lot to speak to with it. But we've done things where we do a bunch of research on something that none of us are familiar with.
So you actually do a lot of work for your podcast.
We do a lot of work. It's like
that's the secret. A lot of people because there's so many podcasts, right? That are just a person talking to another person.
Right.
That if you haven't been doing that for a while, people are like, I've found this concept before, but I feel like high concept, the same way I feel about movies. Like I think high concept, low budget movies are what everybody who makes movies should be doing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
like that's what Blumhouse does. All like those horror movies that they make.
Oh yeah.
Like those are all high concept, low budget. Saw started it.
Oh, okay.
Right? And it's like this thing that you can really, that thing is cool that happened there. I didn't expect that. Or like I can really dig my teeth into this.
Right.
Low budget, you can get it done.
Right.
Like I think that concept podcasts,
yeah,
if you're going to start a podcast now, you should have that thing like what you're doing.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we legit, and again, it's because we're these like type A people, we are willing to be like, okay, we're reading this book this week. We're going to be talking about it on this day. We're going to
read a book in a week?
Yeah. I'm telling you, like,
that's really good.
We're dedicated, and it's been really cool because we'll have listeners email in every week and be like, asking advice questions, or they'll be like, oh my God, I listened to this and you guys helped me leave my job that I hated, or like helped me leave a really shitty relationship that I was too scared to get out of. And now this great thing's happening. Like it's nice to feel like, it's helping people.
Yeah. I mean, as corny as it sounds, to actually be like, wait, this thing that we were just fucking around with is making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. It's, again, especially because even though we're type A, we're very like cynical shithead comics that are, we're told all the time that we're just supposed to be like negative, jaded people. But of course, deep down, we all want to find ways to actually be happy and like,
yeah, I mean, everybody
be nice to ourselves.
You don't enter into any show business, comedy or otherwise, if you don't want, like, you want to be successful and accepted.
Oh my God!
You want people to love you.
Yes, that's all stand-up is just like love me,
right?
Like connect with me. That's all. Yeah.
But you're so scared of it not coming back that you're like, well, I'll be cynical to you before you can tell me that you don't actually love me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but I didn't even get a chance to love you because you were cynical to me.
Yeah.
You see,
you just treat everybody like hecklers. You
right.
just like keep people back.
Right, exactly.
And you're playing defense. And
exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, what are some of the good, what are some of the things that you've done on your podcast that you've been like, I don't believe this at all?
Well, we talked about, so we watched Tony Robbins' documentary on Netflix called I Am Not Your Guru. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, when he's just like screaming at people like, knock it off! And you're like, okay.
Hey, Tony, I'm scared of you.
You're this big guy. I was like, one day I could be the next Tony Robbins, but I feel like I would yell forcefully to people and they'd be like, or what?
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, pull your bootstraps up. What are you going to make me?
Yeah.
No, you found the fatal flaw. You found the chink in my armor. Physically, I can't make you do that.
Right.
Whereas Tony is like stepping on people.
He's a physically intimidating man, jumping on his little baby trampoline. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So we had mixed feelings watching that because there are ways that Tony Robbins is obviously very effective, and there's a reason why he's so successful. But then there were other things in the documentary that we were like, wait, like that doesn't add up, or we didn't agree with his method, I guess, in certain ways. It's weird. Do you remember that he was purposefully swearing all the time, and that he explained to the camera that he does it to try and keep people's attention?
Yeah.
But it felt so cringy and awkward. It felt like, because he's kind of a Christian-y dude, and he was like, hey, you fuckheads, you better fucking listen up, you fucks. It's like,
that's not how you talk.
That's not. Yeah. It was jarring, which I guess is what he was trying to do. But so yeah.
But not jarring in the way of like, oh my God, he's being serious now. It's jarring in a way like, why is he saying that? That's not.
You're doing it just, it just didn't feel right. So yeah, there are things that we will watch or we'll read and be like, oh, okay, well, they had some good points, but also like, so you've got The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Right.
And you're halfway through that book right now?
More or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think
read
so
slowly.
Far? Okay.
I think that there's a lot of it. See, here's what I think. I think that a lot of these self-help books, people take out from them what they want to take out from them.
Yeah.
So I think that like the subtle art of not giving a fuck, like I've seen a lot of people read it, and I think that there's a lot of it that is true, that you kind of have to, in my life, the good things that have happened to me have been things that I have not been holding on to like this. Like
Yeah.
it's just like you work, and then all of a sudden from this place over here,
Yeah.
this thing happens that you didn't see coming, and you're like, okay, let me just be ready to jump on that thing when it happens.
Totally, yeah.
Which I think is what that's trying to get across, where it's like, don't worry about it, just work, just do what you do a good job, and wait for that thing to happen. And when it does come, grab it.
Yeah, the whole opportunity meets readiness thing.
But I think that there are other people that will read that and use it as an excuse to just be lazy.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And be like, well, no, I just don't give a fuck because the book said I'll be successful anyway.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but you're just sitting at home. Like, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's not what
You're
it was
eating
about.
Cheetos and jerking off.
Right.
Like, you're not
Right.
furthering that part of your career, yeah.
Right. Unless that's what
sense.
you want to do with your life.
And everybody should eat Cheetos and jerk off.
At
it's
some
all
point.
about balance.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
do that for yourself.
Right.
Sure, treat yourself.
What did you guys think of it?
That was another one that we were kind of mixed on, where there were parts of it that felt that like resonated with us. We're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then other parts where it seemed like he was trying to be so anti-self-help at times that
Right.
it's what you're saying basically, where it's like, well, just don't care, or things that we were like, yeah, but some things you have to do. Some things like you have to actually put the effort in or whatever. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's just whoever's reading it is going to interpret it a different way. But yeah.
I also felt like I think some of those self-help books, like that one specifically, people will grasp onto a theme because it's going to sell books.
Yeah.
And it's like you almost marry yourself to this philosophy, not because it's your actual philosophy. Like there are parts of your actual philosophy in there, but if you kind of dumb it down and simplify it
Right.
to this one direct message because that's what's going to sell books.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, but that doesn't really encapsulate what you're telling people to do.
Yeah.
Or what you would be telling people to do if you weren't trying to sell books.
Totally. Yeah. I think you just totally hit the nail on the head with that there are parts of it that feel like, yeah, but you're not even going with what you're preaching right now or whatever. Like, you clearly gave a lot of fucks to get to certain points that you're at in your life, but you're writing this whole book about like, don't give a fuck about anything. Like, don't care about what that person thinks, but it's like, oh, but it's kind of impossible not to. I don't know. It was parts of it. Like, do you feel like, at this point in your career, because you're dealing so much with the internet and with like people, I mean, people are commenting right now. Do you have a thick enough barrier to be able to like not read too far into people that are trolling or like?
Now I do. I mean, it took me forever. You know, it took me years of just getting hammered with it.
Really?
Yeah. But now it's like now it really is within the last, like, I don't know, few years. It's become really easy to brush it off.
See, so how many years would you say that took you?
I mean, maybe 10 years, like a long time.
That's fascinating to me because I think you kind of present yourself as like a little tough, I guess, or just like that. I wouldn't assume that you would be affected by that. So that makes me like, I love hearing that because it's like, oh, like even Sam.
Yeah,
gets
no.
affected by that
it took
shit,
a while, but I mean, and part of it was like, you always know, don't let it affect you.
Right.
So you go like, okay, I'm not going to let it affect me. I'm not going to let it affect me. I'm not going to let it affect me. And then eventually, eventually it doesn't. But the whole time you're saying that, like, you wouldn't have to repeat it over and over and over again if it wasn't affecting you.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, for me, and that was like starting out doing such a big radio show.
Yeah.
Like, I was everything that I was kind of learning and figuring out and like being terrible at first was in front of the biggest audience ever.
God.
So, you know, at that point, it's like I've been left without this fear of like if I'm gonna try something, I don't care. I don't care if 2 people are listening or if 2 million people are listening. It's just like whatever. I'm just gonna go do it now because, you know, there's so much tape. There's so much. It's been 10, 12, 15, however many years of this.
Yeah. Are you a perfectionist at all?
No, I don't think I'm a perfectionist. I get really mad and frustrated when people are lazy about things or when things aren't being done as well as they could.
Yeah.
But like when I do shows, like I don't go back and like pick through them.
Okay.
I don't believe in editing. Like I wouldn't like do this thing that we're doing right now and then go back and kind of edit out like,
Right.
let me just cut that dead air there. Let me do that because I don't want to go back and
Yeah.
listen to myself. I can't. I
Oh,
don't do that at
interesting.
all.
Okay.
So I'm not a perfectionist, but it does take a lot for me to be like, okay, that was a good one. Okay, good job.
So you're hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot. But not like I won't go through. Maybe I'm just lazy and hard on myself. Like I won't fine tune and pick at and be like this is.
Well, it's healthy. I mean, it's better. Because I'm like the pick through it person, so that's healthier that you can just be like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like that there are people in your life that have told you it's good for you to be hard on yourself? Like that you being hard on
my
yourself?
dad was.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
has he told you that you being hard on yourself is the reason why you're so successful?
Well, he didn't. I mean, that was instilled, right? Like
Right.
he didn't specifically say the reason you're successful is because of this, but I mean, it was years of growing up with that attitude,
Right.
that left me feeling that, of course, that's what's made me successful, and I still feel that way.
Totally. Yeah.
Like I still go like, well, no, I should be like this because if I wasn't like this, I wouldn't be here or there or whatever.
yeah, you'd just be putting out shitty products,
right,
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't do that.
Heavens no.
No, never.
Never.
Yeah, because like, it was the environment of like you come home with you get an 80 on a test,
Yeah.
and it's like the first thing you get a 90. You can get a 90 on a test, and the
Yeah.
first thing is like, oh, that's good. What happened to the other 10?
Oh my God.
What happened to the other 10 was like, you knew like, and I knew it was coming. I'd be like, whoa, I can't believe that I passed this thing,
Wow.
but I know that. It was not 100, and it was never 100. I mean, I was a C student, so it's not
They're
like
what? Where did they come up with this bar for you?
But I also think that part of it was like I was rebelling against
Okay.
that philosophy of knowing that like if it's not an A plus, like it's not good enough, and I'd
Yeah.
be like, well, I'm not getting near it. I'm not doing that. I'm
Then I
not
wouldn't
getting
touch it, yeah.
right because I think that like if I was like I could study, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll get an A. But if it's not an A plus, they're still going to be like, well, what happened to the other 10?
So it's
So
like,
I'm
what's
either
the
going to
good
work
point?
my balls off to try to get a 90,
Yeah.
or I'm going to go half-ass and just get a 70.
Yeah.
Because either way,
Right.
So that's what
Totally.
I would do.
Wow. That's so interesting. You and I were raised like the exact same.
Really?
Exact same.
So then,
where-
how did your parents feel when you got into comedy?
Oh, like a lot of resistance at first because I was gonna be a high school math teacher, which
Oh.
now I'm like, holy shit, thank God. Sounds like
Were
the
you good at
fucking
math?
worst. Yeah, I was total like Lisa Simpson nerd, like
Saxophone?
flute, which is like somehow worse, I think. But
I think it is too.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of skin flute jokes too.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of skin flute
For
jokes.
sure. Yeah, I was like honor student, straight A's, really cared about grades. To me,
Were you nerd? Like, did you date a lot, or you were a nerd?
I had a boyfriend in high school, but I like my best friends were the ones who would get like prom queen and homecoming. I was
Okay.
looked at, I think, as like the funny, smart one, but not really. Like people knew I wasn't just gonna like fuck people. I was
Right.
like, well, would I marry you? I don't know. Like Macy or G. You know, I was like just so neurotic. But I did have a boyfriend for the last like half of high school. But yeah, to me, I loved math, and I thought that becoming a high school math teacher was the most like secure sort of career path.
Isn't that sad when you're like 17 and you're like, what's secure in life? Like, what can I do that like is
I
going to
know.
guarantee that everything's going to be fine?
What the fuck? Yeah, I wanted to be a high school math teacher at my old high school. That's
Just
how
because-
little
because-
I wanted to risk.
Right.
Just
I know
I'm just
this
gonna
life.
Stay
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
stay right here.
in my tiny town.
Right. Oh, good. The house 2 doors down from my parents is up for sale.
Yeah.
I'll move into that one.
That level.
And my life will always be consistent.
Yeah, that level of wanting predictability
Yeah.
and like kind of being able to control everything. And then I got halfway through college and I was in, I think, like calculus 3, and I was being taught by a Russian man who spoke broken English. So we were like teaching ourselves calculus 3, and I hated it. And I was like, what am I doing? This is terrible. And so I switched to a communications degree, and I took a public speaking class and like started to make my assignments comedy things when they didn't need to be. And my professor was like, you know, like you should do something with this. Like you should try an open mic or whatever. And then I eventually did that. Now it's been like 8 years, and
Yeah.
you know, it just, I
But-
had to
so
give
what-
up that control, because this career now is like there's zero control.
Absolutely.
ever. Like you have no predictability.
And I think even like when you talk about like your routines or whatever, like overthinking what you're going to do on stage.
Right. Oh my God.
It's the death of it, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't be like, good comics are generally organic and can kind of roll with what's going on.
Right.
As
You have
opposed
to
to
be
somebody
able
who's
to.
sitting there like I always think about like poor Orny Adams, the way he was portrayed. Did you see the Jerry Seinfeld comedian documentary?
Yeah. The fact that he was able to come back from that, I'm like,
Right.
Good on him.
Right.
Because that was a tough way they portrayed him for sure.
Yeah, when they portray him and he's young, but he's got like all his like joke books and they're all in files and they're all here and there.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
now you watch that and you're like, that's not how
That's
you do
so
that.
hard. Yeah, that would be so hard. I mean, there usually has to be some level of organization of like writing your thoughts out in some way, because some people think that like we go on stage and we just
Make it up every night, right?
and then and then we never say that again or something.
Did you know that the wrestler Mick Foley?
Yeah.
He does stand up?
Oh yes, I do. Yeah. I forgot
So
about that.
he would go up and just because he's a famous guy.
Yeah.
He went right to doing hours. Like there was no sort of 5-10 minutes. And
Jesus.
I think it was Judah Friedlander. I want to say it was Judah who saw him. They were on tour in like Europe or something. It was one of the festivals or whatever.
Yeah.
And he saw Mick over the course of 3 nights. And in 3 nights, Mick did 3 different hours.
No,
And
he did not.
Judah's
Are you
like,
serious?
Mick, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm doing some comedy. What are you talking about? And Judah's like, you're doing 3 different acts. And he's like, yeah. And Judah's like, you could just do 1 act. And Mick was like, what?
Oh,
you
God.
You only have to do 1 act.
Oh my God. Oh my God. How long had he been doing that? Before he was told.
I mean, it was early, but it wasn't like it was his first weekend, But that's
amazing.
the level of I don't understand what this is before you kind of get into it, right?
Yeah, people don't realize that it's like you're supposed to be fine tuning these bits over the course of even like a year or 2 or more. Where
I mean, when you're starting,
yeah, absolutely.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I forget how we got
But
here.
so at what point did your parents?
The parents'
accept
approval.
that this was happening.
My mom has always generally been pretty supportive. It was my dad, because my dad is a musician, and so he took the same sort of path of like just hoping things panned out, and then he got hired by a symphony, so he's been with a symphony for like over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his way of having a job in like the unpredictable arts, but still having a steady paycheck. But he didn't want that for me. He didn't want that.
Wow.
Like that uncertain thing. And I think also because he's like, you're great at math. Like the world needs great math teachers. Like you should just do that. But he was really resistant to me having any sort of dirty material for years. And then, so my dad is a slam poetry champion. Have I talked about this with you?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know.
He's
told
a
you
slam
all
poetry
my weirdness,
champion?
the foosball, all these things.
So this is what I don't understand. Like your mom is a world champion foosball player.
Yeah.
Your dad is a musician / award-winning slam poet
/ international yo-yo man.
/ yo-yo man, and they're
Yeah.
like, you need something stable like teaching.
Right.
Why? Because they get to live life, and like for you, it's like no. Life is
Right.
scary, and you need to be just beaten down
Right.
and teaching public school somewhere.
Well, my mom does teach public school. It's not like the foosball was her full-time thing.
I see.
but-
Of course not.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tough living.
Of course.
Foosball.
It's a lot of hustling.
Yeah.
It's a lot of tough time on the streets. But yeah, I don't know. I think they didn't want, like a lot of comics feel that way, where like they have kids and they're like, oh, I wouldn't ever want my kid to go into comedy, because they just know how hard it is.
Yeah.
But so my dad was doing all these like slam poetry things. He's like winning like the state championships. He's like this
How do you
published
win in
poet.
slam poetry?
There's judges. It's just like a comedy competition. Like you do, I think, 2 different poems
Except
and
it's boring.
a lot of snaps and all that.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, do they have one of those ranking things like a fake guy, like
Applause-o-meter?
who's got the applause-o-meter, but it's the snap-o-meter? Who's got the most snaps?
Oh my god.
Oh.
That is the saddest thing I've ever pictured.
Yeah,
A
just-
snap-o-meter. Just furiously.
Keep it up.
People
Keep it
breaking
up.
their fingers.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what kind of poetry my dad was doing. And generally it was like this like lighthearted, funny stuff about like animals. But he had this poem that he was performing, and it was like killing, where it was written as like Dr. Seuss, but like who he actually, his name was Theodore Geisel, I think, is Dr. Seuss's real name.
Duh, everybody knows that.
Duh. So he wrote this poem about like Theodore Geisel's sex life, and he was like dirty talking as Dr. Seuss, but like in rhyme, like in Dr. Seuss.
That's
rhyme.
kind of funny.
No, it would kill.
Right.
But I had never seen it, and my dad, I don't think he knew that I was going to be at this show.
And how old were you?
This was like maybe 4 years ago.
Oh, so you're an adult.
I'm an adult, and I'm watching my dad do this poem where he's like saying like filthy sexual things, but in like iambic, whatever that word is, where
Iambic
it's like
pentameter, like
yeah.
Shakespeare?
Yeah. Where it's like in this rhyme scheme, and I'm just like, oh my God. And
Was he saying like, but Dr. Seuss, like a penis McLeibus and
penis McLeibus? Okay, that's amazing. I can't remember
Morton
exactly.
sucks a who?
I think I've blocked it out of my memory because it was so jarring, and I did not want to actually be hearing what was happening. But the reason I say this is because when he came off stage, I was like, you know that you can never ever tell me ever again that I can't be dirty on stage. And he was like, nope, you're right. I totally understand.
Was he saying that before he didn't want you to be dirty?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was being really like hypocritical because he didn't know that, like I didn't know what he was doing on stage.
But he wasn't relating to you as a performer at all. He was still just looking at you as his daughter, not
Totally.
like this is a person who's entering into the arts.
Into the arts.
The arts.
In which I understand that has to be hard for him to have a daughter, and then all of a sudden this daughter's telling like dick jokes. You know, it's like that can be jarring from a dad-daughter relationship. That's fine.
Daughters, most daughters, well, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but I would still think it's majority of daughters grow up to like dicks.
I would also agree.
It's
that
majority. It's more than 50%.
Usually.
I think 10% gay population is way underestimating it because those, I mean,
right.
People said that when everybody was afraid to come out of the closet. That's
Right.
a totally
It's gotta be
unfair
way higher
number.
now. Yeah.
Way higher than 10%, but still less than 50.
Yeah, absolutely.
So majority of daughters, for any of you out there that have daughters, will grow up to like dicks.
So you got to know that.
You have
if you're
to.
a dad, that's coming.
Right.
It's literally,
Yeah,
figuratively, it's coming.
It is.
But
that's one of those Dr. Seuss rhymes, right?
Yeah.
Like a play on the word.
Oh God,
that's good.
I hate this road we've gone down. But yeah. So anyway, that was this big turning point for my dad. He's now like my biggest fan. He's seen all of my material. He does not say anything about like dirty jokes or whatever. He just supports me, and we finally were able to connect as like two performers, as opposed to just like, you're my daughter, I don't want you to say dirty things. Like, I know the shit you say on stage. Like, I just watched you like basically hump the air, like as Dr. Seuss. Like, this shit is done now. You cannot judge me anymore. So yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you got there. Yeah, my dad, he was, well, at first he wasn't cool with it at all when I was working for free.
Okay.
He thought that was stupid.
Well, that's another thing too with the parents. Is like, but you don't know when you're going to start making money. I'm like, I know, but you just
could you talk to her? Like, he'd be like drafting emails. Like, what do you think if like you sent something like this to the boss?
Right.
And I'm like, Dad, I'm not.
Oh my God.
I'm not sending the email.
Yeah, that's totally.
Yeah, but then once I started making like even a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And it seemed like there was potential for income.
Yeah.
It got a lot easier.
Same
It got a
me.
lot easier.
So funny how
like
that.
You're like, we're still not, like, nobody's rich or anything, but like, okay, I do see where a revenue stream would come in.
Totally.
And you're like, I just wanted to do this thing. I wasn't worried about the.
Yeah, and it's also like we're not gonna be homeless. Like, we can work other jobs if we like. You know, I worked other jobs to supplement things with comedy until I started touring the gym, and then I was able to do it full time. But it's like, I wasn't sitting at home like, oh, I only have 2 shows this week, so I can't, you know, it's like, no, I had a day job. I would make money. I was fine.
And I would just jump in here and get all the Not Samsonites to start a Patreon or something. Just can you guys just give me some money?
Yeah,
we'd be fine.
Some money.
Yeah, we'd
so
like some money,
more
please.
action figures.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you still buy action figures?
Yeah. Well, a lot of them I get for free now.
Oh, okay.
But I still buy some.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I think so too.
Were you a big Beanie Baby person?
No, I wasn't. I always just like wrestling stuff.
Okay.
But my brother was all on the trends.
Okay.
Like, I guess it's not a surprise that when we got older, he turned out to be a gay man.
Okay.
But like as a kid, he was like, oh, just trends. Like, it was Furbies, Beanie Babies, yo-yos. Remember when yo-yos got super cool in like the late 90s?
Yeah.
Yo-yos, all that, everything that was cool.
Yeah.
He would jump on board with.
Damn.
But for me, it was just wrestling, always wrestling.
Okay. That's so wild.
Right. Right.
I love that you still, it's like that's never faded.
Yeah, I don't
in your
change
life.
much. I don't.
Chicken nuggets and wrestling.
I'm averse to change.
Yeah.
Some people are like, "That's so great," and I'm like, "It's probably not. It's probably not that great. There's probably a severe psychological block on something." Have you read or have you analyzed The Secret on your podcast yet? It seems like that would be like a starting point, right?
Yeah, that's probably the
basic.
most well-known self-help book, I would guess. Yeah, so I hadn't read the book, but we all watched the documentary, and it horrendous documentary.
I've seen the documentary.
You have?
I've seen the documentary, and I've listened to a lot of the book on tape. Yes.
That one, to me, I'm like, that is a bunch of horse shit.
Okay.
Like, I'm all for positive thinking.
Yes.
But this idea, they just make it so shitty where it's like, just picture that you want a Mercedes-Benz, and then a Mercedes-Benz will drive up into your driveway and they'll just hand you the keys.
Yeah, get a dream board, guys. And then
Yeah.
let the dream board do the work. Like, no, that's not how that...
That to me is maybe I'm too cynical in that way. It's a weird blend because I'm like, oh, I'll put the plant there and then I'll make money with the punctuation.
I'm going to get married because my bed is in the middle of the room.
Right. It's total like witch shit. But The Secret, I don't know. It seemed too simple. And I also feel like anybody who's tried that has known that it does not always work. It is not a foolproof thing.
Well, that goes back to what I was talking about the Art of Not Giving a Fuck book, that people can take what they want out of The Secret, meaning that, like, you could read that and be like, you know what? I'm going to visualize this thing that I want and become obsessed with it and then work towards it and blah, blah, blah. Or you just follow the literal text and you end up just thinking about, like, oh, I'm just going to think about this car for a while. And you don't do anything to earn it. Like, I was listening to the book on tape, and I go, like, okay, like, no, I get what she's saying. You can't really take it literally, but I understand. And then when she got to the chapter on weight loss, and I don't know if you've heard it, did she do the voiceover for the documentary? She's like an Australian woman.
Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, like, I get to the part on weight loss, and she's like, she starts going, simply think thin thoughts. And I was like, what? And she was like, think thin thoughts. Put tape over the scale in your house. Like, she's like, don't get on the scale.
Oh, God.
Don't pay attention to what you weigh. Eat whatever you want, but think about being thin, and you'll be amazed at how thin you get.
No.
And I'm like, that's weird.
That's not.
I don't know why we've invested all this money in hospitals.
Yeah.
We could just think ourselves out. Like, you know what? This leg isn't broken at all. It's actually fine. I'm actually going to walk upstairs right now.
Yeah, I'm just going to see what the fuck happens.
Collapse and break your neck.
So there's definitely, I think, a very strong line between positive thinking and putting out positive energy and just thinking that, oh, if I just visualize this thing I want over and over, it's guaranteed to come for me.
Right. No, the point is you're supposed to, I think you're supposed to visualize it, and then in the process of visualizing it, you end up obsessing over it and working toward it.
Yeah.
But that's not really spelled out, is it? Because they want to give you, like, just the secret, real quick, easy answer, which is just think about it. Like, just act as if it's real, and then it will be.
But it's so, I mean, exactly what you're saying before with your career, that anything that you've been like trying so hard, obsessing over, is not usually the thing that happens. It's usually the thing that, like, you weren't even thinking about. I
got rejected from WWE multiple times before I started working. Like, I auditioned for them.
Wow.
And got told, like, they call me, they let me audition. And not only did they not say no, like, when I called them to get a no, they wouldn't return my calls. God. They completely ghosted me. I sent in to be I tried so many times to get a show on a regular show on Sirius, and it was like, no, like, and it was ignored.
So what changed? What happened?
Just a thing happens. Like it depends on what it is. Like, for the WWE thing, I just got a phone call from a guy that I knew at WWE one day.
Wow.
That said, hey, here's what we want to start doing, and we want to use you for it. Done. With Sirius, it was like I got a boss called, and I know it was like I did an interview that it was the first thing that I think bosses took notice of, and so Oliver Stone was coming in,
okay,
and he was late, and it was when Opie and Anthony was still on,
okay,
and they were like, we're not going to stay for Oliver Stone, and they were like, and that's when I was doing the after show, right, and they were like, Sam, you interview Oliver Stone. And I was like, what? He's coming in 5 minutes. You can't just stay 5 minutes? They're like, no, we're not staying.
Oh my God.
And I wasn't, thank God I had watched the thing he was promoting just because I was a fan of it. But like, I wasn't at all prepared for it. And so I start like, literally as the show is still on, I'm just like IMDbing and looking up stuff and figuring stuff out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So Oliver Stone comes in. I do the interview. I was like, okay, yeah, it was a fine interview. I wasn't like, that's how you interview someone. But it was like, okay, that was decent. That was good. Like, it was a good
crotch thrust.
yeah. Follow that, boys.
Boom, America.
No, it was just like, okay, that was one of the many interviews that I've done that have been like, cool. Like, we had a conversation. It wasn't weird. But because of the context around it, and I guess because he was such a big star, like the boss of the company came up to me and was like, hey, way to save the day with Oliver Stone. And I was like, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know that you would have even noticed. And I think that started this weird awareness and chain of events to a point where he called me into his office one day and said, we want to do something with you. We want to develop you and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And that's how the show started doing it. I mean, and it took, a year after that, but the show that I started doing at noon, which evolved into the night show, which really has evolved into this.
Yeah.
Like, that's that sort of chain that all started. But it wasn't because before that I'd put together tapes. I had, spliced together reels. I had sent it to everybody. I had gone in meetings and blah, blah, blah. And nothing.
Wow.
But it's like you just keep doing just the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without doing it to be like just do the work for the sake of the work, not do the work for the sake of, okay, if I do this, he'll notice it. If I do this, she'll notice it.
Yeah.
Because if you do that and they don't notice it, you end up getting deterred and then you stop doing it.
Yeah.
Which then leads you to not having these moments where things just kind of happen,
I love hearing stories like that.
Well, that's what I think. Like, I think that the gig opening for Jim is so good because it's like you get to work in front of these audiences that you would not be working in front of otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like just having that opportunity.
Yeah, I said it
huge,
so many
right?
times, he totally changed my life.
Right, exactly. Because you don't know who's out there at any given night. Even just the ability to perform in front of an audience of that size, and now to the point that you've been doing it for as long as you've been doing it, it's not even a thing you think about. It's like, yeah, of course I know how to handle this.
Oh, yeah.
And that wouldn't be a skill set that you had otherwise, right?
Yeah, I would be more nervous to perform for like 6 people than for 1,000 people.
Right.
Because in comedy, it's like, the numbers are, there's a higher chance that people are going to like your stuff the more people that are there. But if there's 6 people and like 3 of them don't like you, you're like, well, fuck. It's bad odds, right?
Just lost half the room.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not good.
Exactly.
Not laughing becomes contagious in front of a small audience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I think you're right. I think it's that balance of like, you still have to work and try, but if you are furiously like obsessing and feeling desperate for something, which I've done so many times in this business, I'm still learning to like let go a little bit and not be so like, oh, I need this.
There's a great slam poet that once said, it's not about how fast you get there or what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb.
Oh my God.
And that's kind of how I live my life.
Bringing out inspirational quotes from you.
That slam poet was Miley Cyrus. And that's kind of, that's what I've based all this on, really. That's
the word of Miley, the book of Miley.
That's right. That's exactly, that's how I live my life. You know what I mean? What would Miley do in this scenario? Yeah. She wouldn't worry about
WWMD.
That's it. What would Miley do?
Bracelets.
I start sticking out my tongue.
Oh my God.
Start wearing like shiny leather, and then I find out, we're doing country now. Never mind.
Wait, shit.
Never mind. Yeah.
I just bought these pants.
We're not
damn it.
doing that anymore. Man. So what's next for the podcast, I guess? What's on the horizon? Because what's great about, like, I feel like the self-help industry is just so huge right now, and part of it is because everybody's looking for an answer to something, and the other part of it is a lot of people are looking to not have to work for a living, and they're just like, I could be I'm not funny, I'm not talented at anything really, but I could be a self-help expert. I can tell people what to do.
Oh yeah. That sounds like a great idea for so many people. I'm just gonna boss people around. Great.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're excited about with it, is that we genuinely are interested in self-help, and we have been for a long time, but it's an infinite thing.
Right.
I mean, self-help encompasses like not just books that are trying to make you feel better, but like eating and sleeping well and like relationships, and it's so many things that you can put in the self-help category. So our episode that comes out on Monday is a new episode every Monday on iTunes. It's our live episode because we do a monthly show at the Hollywood Improv.
Oh, that's cool.
So we did that, and we had Jeff Dye on as our guest, and then
No, I like Jeff.
Yeah. He has a really interesting attitude with like self-help and stuff. He's just like, no, I'm just happy all the time. He's like, there's no reason to just not be happy. And I mean, he's kind of right that like we do keep ourselves down and shit for no reason sometimes, but he's like, I don't get it.
We had him on the show, and he was like, I was just sitting there like as we were talking to him, trying to figure out like, okay, where are you gonna break?
Yes.
Because he was like, what do you need to be in a relationship for? We get to be comedians. We get to live in comedy world.
Yeah.
We get to do that. We get to hang out in bars and tell jokes and blah blah blah. And be comedians. And I'm just like, you are living it, man.
I know. He's like a dog. I mean, he's just like happy and I don't know. I don't know.
But
what
I mean,
it would take.
if he really is legitimately at that mental place, he's where we all should be.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. We're reading a book right now, and the beginning of it is like just talking about how it's weird that we're not all walking around just like crying tears of joy for like how amazing life is. Like that if you like live in America and you have a roof over your head and you have food and clean water, that we should all just be like, oh my God, like this is incredible. But instead we wake up, we're like, I didn't get enough sleep.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, this picture didn't get enough likes. Like, we're all just addicted to feeling shitty, and it's hard to break out of that. So, anyway, that's the next episode. We have Baron Vaughn on, I think, the episode after that, and then we're reviewing a book called Gifts of Imperfection, I think. We also attended a Workaholics Anonymous meeting like 2 weeks ago.
Just for research?
For research, and also because we were like, we're definitely like kind of those people.
Workaholics Anonymous, but I feel like Workaholics Anonymous would be full of the type of people that, like, you bring them into job interviews and you go, well, what's your biggest flaw? And they go, well, sometimes I just don't know when to turn the job off.
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
You know, Workaholics Anonymous is just a bunch of people that need pats on the back all the time. Like, I work all the time. I work so much. I get so much done. It's really bad. You're like, yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, though, because
I got so much hustle. Like, shut up.
Shut the fuck up. I know. It was interesting, though, because the workaholism stuff bleeds into other parts of people's life, and I guess like sleep avoidance is something that workaholics do, where it's like you don't let yourself sleep because you're always thinking like, well, but I could work longer, I could do this. So it can like be really hard on your health. It can be hard on your relationships if you're not able to ever turn work off. Like, I have a hard time just sitting through a movie with my boyfriend anymore, because I'll get halfway through the movie and be like, okay, like I want to be on my phone and like writing emails. Like, I can't just stop.
Right. Do you go to movie theaters?
We will, but I'm like, especially when I'm home, when there's like an option to be on the computer, it's really hard for me to just like sit for 2 hours. Yeah. Which is not healthy. Like, I should be able to. Right. You know what I mean? So it's more just like finding more balance in my life and not being so consumed constantly with work. But
yeah, that's the only problem to my theory of like just being ready to seize opportunity when it arrives, is that you always kind of like, when's it come? When's it come? When's it come? All right, it's time for bed. No. Yeah. Because my phone might ring. No, because I got to be ready. Ready.
Well, and in comedy, there's no finish line in comedy.
Right.
There's no like, you made the job and now you got the, it's like,
which is a nice way of saying that you're never going to be satisfied or happy.
Exactly.
Right.
There's no finish line. There's no clocking in. There's no clocking out. I wake up feeling like I already haven't done enough in the day, and I go to bed feeling like I didn't do enough.
Because instead of looking at all of like the schlubs that are doing stuff that you're doing better than, you're like, I was about to say, you're like looking, oh, what's Louis doing today? But that's probably a bad example.
Yeah,
like,
we can't use him anymore, unfortunately.
Well, that's got to be good. It's like, well, I used to be sitting there like, oh, Louis doing so much, I should be doing more. But no, he's a terrible role model. Jerks off in front of people.
I guess there's more time jerking than writing, I thought. But I don't know. It's tough.
Well, a lot of people have been chiming in. I saw a couple times as we were going throughout the conversation that people were annoyed that we weren't sitting there reading YouTube comments, but.
Oh, you know, I didn't even know.
Yeah, but that's not. I feel like if we could have a conversation, why would I sit there and just read the comments?
Like, let's read together.
Hey, what do you think's going on over here?
What are people saying?
See, this is. Yeah, man, I want to cup those puppies.
That is why
we missed out on Joe Incognito, unfortunately.
Yeah, I figured.
I see. Looks like Blue 55 has been trying out some slam poetry in the chat.
Oh God, what did I?
Oh yeah, Chuck D says I'd Lewis her. That's good that it's becoming. So
Yeah.
there. That's
why we have a
maybe
conversation.
maybe we did the right thing. But look at
That's
that.
fine.
Video Archive says I love her.
Oh,
That's
thank
nice.
you.
That's
Thank you,
nice,
Video Archive.
isn't it? Well, listen. You can. And Stephen Pike says I want to forcibly shave Sam's head. But we did see.
Does that make you feel violated the same way that people want to cut my puppies?
I don't know if they want to do it to me for the same reason as you,
Yeah,
but maybe it's just power and aggression at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
I did see though that there were people on the chat even before we started just tweeting out that you were going to be here, saying they were #fully erect.
Oh my God. I had totally forgotten about Fully Erect until we started recording. I was like, oh yeah. People were shouting that out for a while.
That's great.
At Jim's shows, which was such a
Fully
burden.
erect.
The autistic timing that people I would be like right about to say a punchline. They'd be like, Fully Erect. I'm like, just shut the fuck up, okay?
I love that. I would.
We'll talk in the lobby, but don't shout it.
If I were in the audience for those shows, I would have no loyalty to you. I'd just be clapping along with the Not Samsonites. Because when we were doing the nighttime show, somehow #fully erect became the hashtag of the show.
Yeah.
I don't know why or how.
It was around, I think it had just started before maybe, I think I came on for maybe the third time or something like that. And
right.
you're like, by the way, this is a thing that's happening now.
Right,
And
Fully
I was
Erect
like, oh
is
my
happening.
God, all right.
Yeah, it would be Fully Erect for everybody except Dan Soder. Wherever Dan Soder went, people would be shouting out Danny Fizzle Pops. Danny Soda Fizz, Danny Fizzle Sticks, like just annoying plays on the fact that Soder sounds like soda. Danny Fizz, hey Danny Fizz.
Oh,
it's just annoying.
Yeah,
but terrific.
I didn't even think about that. You're
but
right.
So terrific. Well, where can people keep up with everything that's going on in the fabulous and grand world of Kelsey Cook?
Oh, thank you.
That's right.
You're gonna be disappointed. It's not that great. So my Twitter is at Kelsey Cook. My Instagram is at Kelsey Cook Comedy. KelseyCook.com for tour dates. I've got some more shows coming up with Jim. We're gonna be in Chicago next weekend, and Self-Helpless podcast. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, like anywhere you can find podcasts. So go check out Self-Helpless.
And there's so much you can do with that, right? Like as the podcast gets more and more successful, you can turn it into a touring thing. You three are going to be able to write a book based on other people's self-help books. Like what
totally.
like you don't even have to have your own theories. You could just take the best stuff from each one that you've learned from.
We're just gonna buffet it
and write the book.
Just be like, okay, this. Yeah. So it's we feel really lucky that we are loving working together and that it's been well received so far. So yeah.
Do any of one of the three of you feel ownership over the concept?
No, I mean, Taylor was the one who we had already been working together on another project, and Taylor was like, hey, I've been thinking, like, what if we did a self-help podcast? So she was the one who initially was like, oh, let's do it. But, anytime we say that, she's like, oh, no, it's like we all did it together. But yeah, she's the
Get it
first
in
one.
writing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, Kelsey, thank you for hanging out here on Sam Roberts Now.
Thanks for having me.
Look at that. Somebody said, don't read this shit, not Sam. So that's the right comment.
Yeah,
that's the right. And everybody's saying that they love you, and a life-size poster of hot dog for the set sounds great. Sam, please get on it. Yeah.
Hot dog for the set?
No, like did you met Hot Dog when we were doing the night show or no?
No.
He was like our little guy that helped us out. Hot Dog.
No.
He's the man.
Okay.
But they want not like a full-size poster of a hot dog. But Hot Dog, the guy, the man, the person.
I got you.
Just to know that Hot Dog's presence is felt. Hot Dog painted this table. A lot of people don't know that. Hot Dog was here for the construction of Not Sam Studios. I love that you just went, like as if it was still wet. It was in August. It was a while ago. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you very much, Kelsey Cook.
Bye, guys.
You're wonderful.
Thank you. You're wonderful. Thanks for having me on.
We'll see you all soon. Smoon.
Schmoon.
I was looking at the thing, and it says, do you want to do a cut or smooth?
Smooth. I see.
So I was reading smooth and thinking soon, but that's when we'll see you is soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.